And we're good. Hello, welcome back. Ink Blot Nation. I am Phil. I'm your host. I'm on a mission to demystify TCGs. I'm doing it today. I've got three talking points that the investor bros will tell you that are just flat out wrong, and three talking points that the MSRP gang, the everything should be low in value gang, will tell you that are flat out wrong. Not really to stir shit, I promise, but really just to hopefully kind of reframe some of the talking points we hear a lot in the hobby, that will clear up some misconceptions that just lead to bad decision making, and that's on both like the supply and demand side of the equation. So let's get into it. I'm going to start with my side of the aisle, that the MSRP gang. Something we hear a lot, especially in times of these kind of like hype periods over in Pokemon. Prices are only this high because scalpers have caused this artificial scarcity, or resellers. And I would say, kind of, it's clear that, there is a artificial chokehold on inventory that can't really be denied. But also it can't be denied there are legitimately a shit ton of people, more people who are interested in collecting Pokemon cards right now than before Pokemon Snap or Pokemon Pocket came out, just like before Pokemon Go or before the pandemic. There are just legitimately more people interested in the hobby after these hype cycles than before, even if during that interim, there are scalpers who are, I will legitimately say, causing on certain sets just way too high a prices. I'm not denying that. The second part of that, though, that needs to be considered is TCGs, especially, are as a collectible built on artificial scarcity. And I'll explain what I mean. So you can on any TCG start with like a starter deck and have a low to mid powered deck that would make you be able to play and experience the game. But if you want to power that up, you need to go open packs from a set, from an expansion, and you need to go throw those cards into your deck now, right? So that's part of the experience is opening packs, and those packs have rarity slots. It is built into this thing that manufacturers know certain cards are going to be rarer than others, compared to in proportionate in the print run compared to commons, uncommons. There are always going to be rarer cards. So it's just that the whole thing is built on artificial scarcity. And it kind of ties into the on the last video, what makes a TCG crash is just everyone not caring anymore, the game just dying entirely. So that is something that happens with something that's built on artificial scarcity. Is the only time it's worth something is like any collectible, when someone's willing to pay you for it. But like the price action we see through Pokemon isn't unusual. It's the time frame. It's because of all this spike demand and this artificial chokehold that is all shrunk down, how quickly we usually see sets rise. So that first talking point may not get a whole lot of fight, even because, with the packs, it makes sense. But people might go to then the second talking point from MSRP gang, which is it's people who care about card value that are ruining this hobby. And I think you could probably see how it would tie in even with the first point. If this whole hobby is built on artificial scarcity, then built into the idea of this random experience of opening packs is sometimes I'm going to win and sometimes I'm going to lose. Sometimes I'm going to do better than what I paid to open these packs. Sometimes monetarily, I'm going to do worse. And oftentimes in like a player's game, you don't care monetarily how you did. It's did you get the cards you wanted to put into your deck? Are you able to now make your deck more powerful, or get something that other people are looking for so that you can trade it or sell it or what have you? With a collector's game like Pokemon, that means chasing hits. And hits is a really appropriate name because there are some degenerate addicts out here who are, chasing that dragon, and need the next hit, so to speak. But gambling means you win some, you lose some. If you hate that about TCGs, and I totally get you, I understand you if that's not your thing, look into some tabletop card games and board games that use different like deck building aspects. Because there are plenty out there where there isn't this artificial scarcity or this drive to buy extra products for rarer cards. All of them are just included in whatever the game is built to be. So it's not even like a, get out of here if you don't got money, kid. It's legitimately, if that really rubs you the wrong way, there are probably a bunch of tabletop games you would want to look into. But just the talking point overall of wanting value or wanting something to retain value over time is what's bad about the hobby. I think it's a bad talking point. It's always going to be part of the appeal of opening a set is getting these random experiences. And man, this set really screwed me. Evolving skies for me was evolving cries. I didn't really ever hit anything great out of that. Sometimes you're going to get a set that treats you really well. It's just part of the fun of TCGs and opening packs. Which brings us to the third point from MSRP Gang. Last misconception is this: once the set is printed into the ground, it'll be completely worthless, or after the fact. Now that it has been printed into the ground, this whole set is completely worthless. We've seen examples with Sword and Shield sets, even where sets were printed into the ground, were readily available for weeks, months, and then did steadily climb back up over time. And during that initial period, a lot of like collectors and the MSRP gang that were just like, I want to be able to rip open packs. They're all taking a victory lap here. But remember why TCGs are different, right? They're the only collectible that you open up, and it might not give you what you want to collect. It's Schrodinger's collectible or whatever. It's going to require you to open more and more product. So it's not necessarily a matter of how much is printed as much as how much is opened. Are people ripping through these packs, chasing after that hit more than the other sets that had come previously? Or are more people thinking, I should sit on this and it might slow down its value over time? Now, this would obviously impact singles, right? The more and more that a set is printed, there are going to be now more raw cards out into the market. But remember that dynamic means a popular set, even if it's printed very heavily, means there will always every day be more singles joining the market and less sealed packs existing. Um, Even once the price tag grows to a huge amount, there's still rip and shippers and streamers that will seek some sort of product that they can excuse either charging a premium on or trying to drive more clicks and engagement than what they've gotten on previous videos. Yeah, reprints. Reprints is like the word of the quarter for PokeTubers. One Piece. Everyone's talking One Piece, right? If you want some really good takes on reprints and One Piece, subscribe down below. You want to support me, not some dude who's got, a shit ton of fucking sealed product behind him or every amazing grail card graded in a 10. Speaking of those folks, our first big misconception from the supply side of the dynamic is from those investor bros will tell you, I invest in TCG X or Y, I invest in Pokemon. So somewhere along the way, I'm not throwing any names out there that might, rhyme with Rugi or whatever, but people confused buying inventory from a company as being the same as buying stock in a company. Simply put, it's those people are actually resellers or wholesalers in Rugi's case, who's buying on a large volume and similar to like a Costco or a Sam's Club, they have a membership that you would pay to be a part of, and you assume, hey, through the deals that my wholesaler is going to get, I'm going to make up for the cost of that membership with these awesome and amazing deals that he's going to get me access to. Makes it pretty clear there. It's not a matter of investing for Rugi or these people who have a large amount of capital, and the people who have a very small amount of capital who are doing it usually are resellers who are waiting on a time scale. So, like any mom and pop store, an LCS or an LGS, whatever you want to call it, they work on margins of just volume, of sell through as many boxes as I can, making as much of a margin as the market currently allows me for to get enough capital to buy the next set and also be able to buy collections or what have you through the month. Resellers make their money usually on arbitrage and time. Time, especially in TCGs, because they will be able to load up on a set when it isn't necessarily popular and just wait for the next kind of wave of people to come in and buy out all that product that even if it's a stinker, new collectors are like, well, I just want to open up some packs. It all goes away eventually, and then they can introduce their product back onto the market. It becomes really clear during these hype cycles why you're not investing if that time frame isn't necessary. When it's this truncated, it makes it really, really clear. Oh, they're just resellers. They buy from one spot and then resell it to a collector at another spot, under the assumption of whatever price I get it at first, I'm going to be I'm able to resell it later. It's not like a mystery. It's not a new asset class. They're just reselling a collectible. But honestly, some of them won't care. They'll say, "Yeah, call me whatever you want." Reprints, there's the second talking point. Reprints aren't going to affect the price of that amazing box. It doesn't matter what you say. And if it did, honestly, you could just down cost average anyway. You could dollar cost average into a lower average rate for your box, which just alarm bells for me on like crypto bro. They have been probably talked into FOMOing into something and then buying more of it later when a rug pull was going on, probably. But it's also just like patently false. We mentioned in another talking point from MSRP gang, we've seen reprints on Sword and Shield sets bring that cost down. We've seen reprints of Surging Sparks and Twilight Masquerade clearly bring the price down. With Surging, with what we knew was like an impacted set that Pokemon said they were going to reprint, there was even in the booster box form, which everyone says, well, they're not going to reprint it as a booster box. Apparently, the impacted sets, they are planning on it. So it's anyone who's telling you that either doesn't understand supply and demand, or more likely, in my opinion, is trying to make sure that you don't necessarily understand how it works in TCGs. Because it also, down cost averaging, first of all, it's a strategy you use for a poorly timed trade. And if we, from our first point with investor bros, we said, well, they usually work on a longer time frame. And if the strategy they're telling you that you can just rely, it's in your back pocket, don't worry, you can always DCA, like it's a great plan, is something that you use for a poorly timed trade. What does that tell you? It's probably a lot of dead time value. That it's going to take a good amount of time for that to actually, regardless of what happens in the interim, accumulate significantly enough that you now want to sell it. So there's also no way to DCA in a single item the way you can with a liquid crypto or a liquid stock. There just aren't as many booster boxes of any TCG when they come, a resupply hits the market as there are shares of a stock. So the idea that you would always be able to even source enough inventory to dollar cost average to a much better decision when this reprint hits, it's just kind of the idea that anyone has ever done it is laughable to me. I would like to look at the checking account of anyone's business who down cost averaged, who didn't start with a $250,000 or more. So if your trick to me is if you want to make money, start with a lot of money, then why am I watching you on YouTube for this? Here's how you get rich selling fucking. They're not DCing either. It's not like they're doing that. They're telling you to catch this falling knife, and then when this reprint that they know is coming, because they know these companies much better than the newbies who are now attracted to the market. They know that reprint's coming. They're gonna have money now for the reprint. So just stop listening to these folios. They're not on your side. And that will go then to talking point number three. You can't ever really time a reprint. And this one will make it abundantly clear why they need to frame this all as an investment, because it's very true. And it's something that even people who don't invest here, you can't time a market. There are too many variables in the world, like regulation wise, or even like things outside of your country's borders that you cannot control that could impact whatever decision you're making. You can, however, time the release of a single manufacturer's product line. That's a completely different thing from timing an investable or a commodity market. There's no comparable. When a company says, hey, we realize that we're leaving money on the table, so we're going to print a whole lot more of these sets and we're going to release more of it, you should believe them. You should think there's going to be more of this shit coming out, ain't there? Like it's not rocket science, honestly. And when we look at like We mentioned Twilight Masquerade and Surging Sparks have been reprinted. Well, then look at the next sets in line. We have this Prismatic release that's coming up at Sam's Club, and I think one at Costco too. So I don't know, if I were a betting man, I would bet a whole bunch more Prismatic might be showing up on the market here soon. And then if we just look at again, people say they don't have enough time to print it all. That's another talking point. I guess that's not even in this. There's no way they have enough time. But look back in like 2022 when people were saying the same thing, and you know what they did is bought their own damn printers. They just said, well, if that's a problem, we're a big old fucking company. We'll go solve that problem. And the reason we had so much Scarlet Violet in that first four sets of the block is because they were printing out the fucking ass. And if I were a betting man and I saw a company went in, bought a printer, knowing that, hey, if this all slows down from this pandemic boom, we might have to rent out some of this printer time to other TCGs to make up for what we now have as a, instead of renting time, a giant bill of buying all these facilities. So maybe when they had a slowdown in their print run, they rented out some of that time. Maybe that's a reason they couldn't necessarily turn back up the printer as quickly as they wanted to. Just completely spitballing here. And maybe if they saw this big surge after the fact of Pokemon Pocket, maybe they would either buy time at a printing facility that they don't own, or I don't know, maybe buy some more because they're one of the biggest fucking companies in the world. To think that this is going to be the new norm, or that Pokemon always wants to leave money on the table and want things to be out of stock, is ridiculous. It's just not going to be the case forever. Stay fucking patient, people. I cannot stress this enough. So, major takeaways. If you want to be a reseller, that's fine. Just know you're not investing, you're opening a small business. You're buying inventory for your business. If you don't understand the risks that a small business faces, because you're looking at that as an investment vehicle, you're going to have a bad time. And if you're on the other side of that coin, you want to collect and play a TCG casually, just know there's nothing wrong with liking that some of these things have more value than the other, or retain their value over time. Because that also means when you enjoy it less, you'll be able to sell or trade it to someone else who will enjoy it more than you will, so that you can enjoy some other part of the hobby. You can have, again, the hobby pay for part of itself if you are cognizant of where values are at the time. That's not a bad thing. It's not like you're an awful person because you understand how money works. I get in trouble with some of my lib friends. I'm a shit lib, and I guess they're, I'm gonna cut all this. That's not going in. That's not going in. I believe that private capital should exist, and that taxes should exist. So it just makes me a black sheep with people on the far left and the far right. So I was like, oh fuck, this is fucking crazy. But leave me a comment down below if I got anything dead wrong. If you think I got something that was like, oh, that's a really good point. Also, next video is coming up, and there'll be some about reprints. Obviously, maybe I'll talk One Piece. Maybe I'll talk Riftbound, because there are people who are legitimately playing and enjoying those games. So maybe I'll reach out to some of those channels and see, hey, are these games fun to play? Should I also be looking into them? What else? What else? What else? Oh, you know what? I need to do just, what the next one's going to be is just, should I open a set? When do I know when I want to rip packs anyway? And when do I know that I'd rather just go after singles? And when I want to go after singles, how do I even find them? Other than like knowing new releases, how do you find other cool cards, other singles to collect? That's going to be my next one for sure. So definitely subscribe, like, share it out to people. That always helps. And as always, kids, remember TCGs are whatever you make of them. Much love.